Consciousness is the first thing emptiness does. It's a capacity, it's an attribute. And when you're more in the experience of it, the benefit, one of the benefits it gives you is you no longer feel velcroed, stuck to whatever the current feeling state or thought state is. You just don't feel bound to it. Because the absolute nature of reality, in a certain sense, is just simply, in a sense, it's watching everything arise. Not like a human being watches things arise, but it just watches everything arise. And so there's space then. There's space. This extraordinarily rare attribute for human beings is internal space in your mind. You know, space between you and what's happening. When there's no space, you are whatever your conditioning throws up into your experience. So if you're angry, you are angry. That's it. No space. There's nothing but anger. If you're sad, there's only sadness. There's nothing else. You are the sadness. If you're joyous, there's just joy, which you love and become attached to. But if there's despair, then you're just despairing, you know. But when there's this deeper quality of your being becomes conscious, becomes really aware, then there's space inside, right? And this space is vital. Now, many forms of spirituality try to help create this for you. You know, they tell things like, be the witness of whatever arises. You've heard things like that, right? Just watch whatever arises, be the witness of whatever arises. And all that's great information, except that the thing that tries to do the witnessing then becomes the ego trying to do the witnessing. See what I mean? And it leads to a lot of frustration. Some of you might have had that kind of frustration. When your mind or your ego is trying to witness, you know, and it's trying to not care, and it's trying to be unattached, right? And it's lying to itself because it is attached, and it does care, and it is bothered, you know, but it's really trying not to be. That's because the ego can't really do what I'm talking about. It can try, you know, it's like it can put on the costume of witnessing, but it can't actually do it. The witnessing is something that's actually already happening. It's more like you notice it rather than you do it. Right? It's like awareness. You notice awareness is already happening. You don't do awareness. You just notice it. And with space becomes choice, options. No space, no choice, no options. You are whatever condition reaction comes rattling down your humanity. That's what you are. There's no space, there's no options. Your emotional life walks you around like a dog on a leash. And you're the dog, right? And the reactivity just marches you around. You know, everybody's experienced that, right? Where you have some reactive thing is happening and you just feel like a dog on a leash. And you just hope that your owner starts to treat you better at some point. When we start to notice that there is space, space is a nice way of saying emptiness. When we start to notice that there is space, we actually feel space. You actually literally feel space. You feel space in your mind. You feel the space between one thought and another thought. You feel the space between what's noticing whatever emotion you have and the motion. You start to feel that there's space in between things. Right? And only when there's the experience of space are there options. What I mean by options are only with space is there any choice whatsoever. No space, no choice. You may think you're choosing, but you're not. Right? So space is that when we experience some internal spaciousness, when you experience that whatever emotion or feeling you're having or thought is arising within a kind of spaciousness, it means that you can either give your attention to that, you can become attached to that, you can watch it, you can act upon it or not act upon it. You have options, in other words. And this is vital. Because just because you realize space, the vast space of consciousness, doesn't mean you know what to do with it. And most people that have had any kind of deep, fundamental spiritual awakening will know what I'm talking about. If you've had any kind of awakening, you've experienced some sort of deep spaciousness.